You know, there are a lot of things to love about living here in the Chattanooga area, but here's one for you. Only in Chattanooga can you go and get your car worked on and get some jellies and shop for some artwork while you're there. You can if you go to see Richmond Blackwell at Blackwell Automotive. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
I mean, I hope it's okay that I tell you that that's my biggest takeaway from you. The first time I ever went to see your place over at Eastgate Loop, I could not believe how cozy it is and how community focused.
Oh yeah, we try to make it just as comfortable as we can because we want people to be comfortable and feel like they're at home when they're with us.
Well, you have succeeded. Let's brag on Miss Nancy here, and then we'll talk cars a little bit. She's been doing these for you for a long time.
She has. I've lost track of time. Maybe the 6-10 years she's been doing it. But she makes these homemade jellies and jams and preserves all year long, and she uses all kind of different flavors.
Does she grow the produce? Do you know? Does she have an arbor or anything?
No, she doesn't. Okay. But she's always looking for different things to put in. So, like some of them have guava, some of them have something that's called yuzu, which is an Asian or Japanese flavor. And so she's always watching things on TV to get different ideas too. But of the jelly she does probably 50 different flavors, just mixtures of all different things. So
will she get mad at me if I tell people roughly how old she is?
I don't think so.
Okay, she's in her 80s, and I think that's endearing because if you do come, and you could come, Richmond won't mind if you just come and pick up some jelly and shake his hand and take a look at the artwork, even if you don't need an oil change, that's okay.
Oh yeah.
But this is really a labor of love for her.
It is, and part of the money goes to her church's daycare. And so she does it, and it's only $5 a jar, so I don't know if she may be losing money per jar, but she loves doing it, and she loves contributing to her church too. So
let's talk then about end-of-year car maintenance. The forecast is that this might not be too cold of a winter, but you still have to be prepared because your car kind of goes on a roller coaster ride this time of year.
It does, and so just because it's going to be warm now doesn't mean that you don't need to get ready for January and February coming too. Or if you're planning a trip and you haven't thought about it, you're visiting family up in Chicago or somewhere like that, where it's going to be a little cooler, you need to make sure that your tire pressures are all good and that your coolant will still hold into those temperatures that we're not used to around here.
You do pretty much work exclusively on Toyota and Lexus, is that right?
We're doing Toyota and Lexus, and then Nissan and Infiniti is their luxury brand, and we're starting to get into Honda a little bit.
Okay.
So, Acura is Honda's luxury brand, so between those 6, that's what we primarily focus on.
You know, everything is expensive these days, so people are trying, it seems like, to hold on to their cars as long as they can to avoid buying another one. Talk about how important it is to maintain your car.
Well, it's good to get things done a little at a time, because if you put off one thing and then the next time you get it checked out, there's another thing, and then maybe 3 years down the road, you're looking at a very large repair bill versus just getting things done before they create other problems.
If you go in for a, quote, tune-up, Richmond, what does that involve?
It's an old term. Basically, you used to have to tune the car up so you could adjust the distributor and you could change the gaps and the points and all that. But now a tune-up basically is changing spark plugs, but it's a vague term that means different things to different people. Some people think that it's an oil change, or used to you had a lot of grease fittings, so you'd have to go through and grease everything. And most cars now, with the exception of just a few, there's not a lot to grease on them. So now if you came in just asked for a tune-up, basically we'd just look over the car, see what may be due by the mileage, and then evaluate it and see if there's any other things that need to be addressed.
So depending on the car you bring in, that tune-up is going to look differently, because if you have a newer car that's all computer, that's one thing versus an older classic.
It is.
Okay.
And some cars you change the spark plugs every 30,000 miles. Some of them you go as many as 120,000 miles. And so each car is a lot different. We're used to a general rule of thumb, you'd just do it like every 30,000 miles or so.
You also have a lot of college kids home this time of year, and I know when our daughter was in school in Nashville, I was so worried about Mont Eagle and her going over that in the wintertime. So take that into consideration too, right, before they head back to campus?
Oh yeah, and if they're going to be home for a week, you can bring the car and just drop it off for a day or two, and they can ride around with you and shop or whatever. And then we can get the car checked out, make sure that it's good to go back to school, and checking the tires too, like the tire depth and all that so that it can handle this wetter weather that we'll see during the winter months.
I was about to ask you actually about tires because I had a period of time where I seemed to get a flat tire often. So I'm a real stickler for a good tire. Is it better to get the brand of tire versus the mileage on the tire? How do you know what to choose?
It kind of depends on what you're using the car for. So just a good all-weather tire is going to be sufficient. Some of the cheaper tires may not last as long, or they may have a stiffer ride. So it's always good to just talk with the person that you're buying the tires from, kind of tell them what your situation is. If it's just you need something that'll get the job done and you want it as cheap as you can, the cheaper tires will work, but there are some trade-offs versus if you own a luxury car and the ride is really important. It's important to know which tire to pick based off performance or longevity or the ride.
So if you want to go shop for some jellies, go see Richmond at Blackwell Automotive. If you want to go and get your car fixed and have them do a tune-up for you, whatever that might look like for your car or whatever your car need might be, they would be happy to help you. It's blackwellautoinc.com, and you can probably pretty well imagine their waiting area. It is just as cozy and comfortable as you would expect from a place that sells locally made jellies.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and be sure even if you don't come by, drive by and look at our windows. We had painted for Christmas.
Sorry, I forgot to mention that.
And we've got two buildings. We've got our main building, and then we've got an annex building on the other side of Eastgate from our main building. So if you're over in that way and want to see the windows painted for Christmas, we got them ready.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.